Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Conversations with Nicole show. I'm Nicole Huckabee. My guest today is Leo Chan, the founder of Abound Innovations Incorporated. After hearing Leo speak at a conference in Nashville, I was captivated by his journey and knew you would benefit from hearing his story. Abound Innovations Incorporated is dedicated to helping organizations cultivate and sustain an abundance of innovation and creativity. Leo shares his belief that innovation begins with a dream of what's possible. As a certified Lego Serious Play facilitator and a certified creativity coach, Leo is passionate about empowering others to unleash their creative potential. I hope you enjoy our conversation. Let's get started. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Conversations with Nicole show. I am delighted to have as my guest today Leo Chan. He is the founder of Abound Innovation. As I mentioned earlier, I had the opportunity to hear Leo speak at a conference in Nashville, and I was just taken aback by all the great things that you shared with the audience that day, Leo. So thank you again for being my guest.
Thanks for having me. Happy to be here.
Yes, it was a lot of fun when you spoke to the audience in Nashville, and you have some very creative ways to get us thinking about how to be our own innovators. But before we get into all of that, tell us your backstory, how you came to be an innovator and helping others innovate.
Yeah, I like to credit my innovation journey to Star Trek, actually. I grew up watching the show as a kid, and I think it was very inspirational for me because it's like journeying into the unknown, exploring uncharted territories. And Star Trek imagined all these things that didn't exist, that still don't exist today. And so I think just the boldness of exploring possibility has always stuck with me. And so I think it started from there. I grew up with the internet, and I fell in love with visual communication. So I ended up in design school. And I think my design story has a lot to do with why I'm an innovator today.
I love your story. And when I was listening to you speak and also doing my homework, I was like, oh, Star Trek, we're still waiting for some of those things to happen.
Yeah.
I love that that's your inspiration. So, for the audience, explain exactly what being an innovator is, because a lot of people really may not know how that applies to themselves personally and
Yeah.
how it applies to their workplace.
Yeah, I describe innovation as creating a new future by transforming ideas into value. So when you look at innovation from that lens, then it's applicable in everything that you do because we all, I believe, want to create a new future. I don't think, unless you're happy with what you have, but a lot of times we're running into challenges and problems and things that aren't as ideal as they could be. And so to me, an innovator is one that says no to this current state we disrupt today in order to create a brighter, more hopeful, innovative future for ourselves. And that can be at home, that could be in our workplaces. It's applicable to whatever we do.
Yes, and I love that the name of your company is Abound Innovation. Abound meaning to occur or exist in great quantitative. So you're looking to create more innovation, which, as you say, is creating a new existence. And I love the story that you shared with the audience about the rolling suitcase. That really resonated with me when you talked about how we can do things better, more efficiently. It's like work smarter, not harder, so to speak. For those
Yeah.
that don't know the rolling suitcase story, do you mind sharing it? Because it's a perfect example of innovation.
Yeah. So the rolling luggage, the rolling suitcase was invented by a guy named Bernard Sato, who was the vice president of United States Luggage. And the way he came up with this idea was back in those days, the only way that you would move your luggage around the airport was you either carried it, which was cumbersome and heavy, or you hired a porter. And those are the only two options. And so in the 70s, Bernard was coming back home from a family vacation. He gets stuck in customs, and while he's there, he observes a person working with heavy machinery and moving it around effortlessly. And so he had just gone through the pain himself of carrying his heavy luggage. And he sees this and he says to his wife, that's what we need for for luggage. And so he goes to work the next day. He takes a wardrobe trunk and there's four wheel casters. He removes it off the wardrobe trunk. He attaches it to a bag and he sticks a strap on it, and poof, rolling luggage was invented. And so he was just inspired by this guy that was moving stuff around easily while he was standing in line at customs.
I think that's awesome because I never thought about how was the rolling luggage created? How did it come about? But it makes perfect sense, his thought process. So talk about how you help organizations with that thought process of doing things better, creating a new existence, if you don't mind.
Yeah, actually, innovation isn't as mystical as we might think of it. It's problem solving, right? And so everything in my book that's innovation related starts with solving a problem. What's a problem that exists? And that can be for something at home for you and your family life, or something at work. What's a problem that you face? And a way to identify problems is by pain. So, what's something right now that irks you or it's very difficult for you and that you would love a new solution? And so when you identify what that is, think about what's causing that pain. What's the root cause of whatever that's happening? Once you know what that is, then you have a real problem that you need to solve for yourself or your team or whoever it is. And then you start to dream of the idea. So it's kind of like a systematic way of breaking it down. And I have tools and techniques that I teach folks along the way to do that. So here's ways to define what the problem is. Here's ways to define the root cause. Here's a way to come up with better ideas. Here's a way to prototype your idea. So kind of a systematic way of walking alongside people in a very practical way to actually start applying these techniques and tools. It's just innovation to me. Becoming an innovator, applying innovation is just like learning to read, except that this is just a new area that we can talk about, but there's not a lot of people talking about it.
Really, you're the first person I've ever heard to talk about innovation. And like I said, I was just really mindful of why haven't I thought about that before? It makes perfect sense. Take something that's painful or a problem and figure out how to solve it in a new and creative way, whatever that looks like. Now, for the audience that I shared with during the introduction, but I haven't talked about it now, you do Lego Serious Play. You're
Yeah.
actually, you hold a degree in this, which I didn't even know actually existed. And you had us work with Legos. And I just want you to know, I still have mine. I had to bring them home in pieces because we flew, right?
Oh
But
yeah, yeah.
talk about how you create us or how you help us think really outside of the box using Legos. Why is this an important tool?
Yeah, so I'm certified as a facilitator in this methodology. It's is something that exists in the world. It's been around for over 20 years. It's practiced
Right.
globally. I am just a very vocal super fan of it because I think it's such an incredible way to think differently. As someone that works in innovation, I think having tools and techniques that literally help us think differently are welcome. And I don't know of anything more imaginative, more creative, more fun than using Lego. So the way it works is there's a specific kind of Lego. It's not something that you'll go to get from the retail store. There's specific kits for this. And as a facilitator, I design a customized workshop that will help you get to your objectives. So it's very targeted, it's very specific, it leads to business outcomes. A lot of the people that I do this with, the clients that I have, it's around team building. So how do we actually get to know people better on our teams, more personally and professionally? I think it's a very intentional way to be to connect in meaningfully, and it's something very powerful because you remember the things that you create. They're very visual. It's three-dimensional. We're using stories to talk to each other, so it's something that really connects people. And I've really seen this. I've done this a lot with folks, and I don't know anything that allows that kind of depth and that type of creativity in such a fast way. You saw this yourself, Nicole.
I did. There's a little bit of vulnerability there because you have to be open to taking your instructions when you tell us, what to do and sitting at the table and thinking, okay, just be vulnerable, just do it and don't worry about what anybody else is thinking. And it really does work because everyone all of a sudden sort of opens up and talks about what they've created. And in that, we got to know people better at our table, but it
Mhm.
it really is a great thinking tool, creative tool, and opening up to your team members. So I suspect when you've done this around the world, you have gotten good feedback. Talk a little bit more about that.
Yeah, yeah, I love this so much because it's a way for people to connect with each other in a very deep and meaningful way. I've done this at conferences many times. You were part of one of those experiences, Nicole. But the way people can connect with this is it literally shocks my mind. Like there was one conference I did this for. It's called Story Conference, which is held in Nashville, which is a great conference, by the way. And I remember it was a smaller conference, so it's like maybe up to 500. So you would see the same people. And I had some participants. They took this workshop that I did. I repeated it 4 times, but they did it as the first one. And they told me, they're like, "Hey, Leo, I was part of the first experience and I didn't know anybody coming to this conference, and we got really close really fast, and they became my friends for the rest of the conference. And like I saw people crying, like good crying, not bad crying, good crying,
Yeah.
people hugging each other's laughter, smiles. It's such a deeply connecting experience, and I feel like as humans that's what we long for. Like we want to be known, seen, and heard, and what a joyous and fun and creative way to express yourself, but then also to get to know someone. So I love this. What's really interesting about this methodology is it actually taps more of our brain. So when we speak with our mouth, with our lips, we use about 15% of our brain, which is shockingly low. And when you
It
build
is.
with two hands, yeah, it's really low, right? When you build with two hands, you can engage up to 80% of your brain. So the things that you share can become a lot more deep than if you were just to just like say it out loud, for example. So it's deeper, it's more connecting, it just opens people up in different ways. Like it's such a powerful, I have so many stories I could share with you.
That is powerful. I had no idea just talking, I was only using 15% of my brain and 85, I think you said
up,
using.
up to
Yeah,
80.
that's incredible. It really is about human connection. Using something really that's really so simple that can open us up to learning more about each other and making those connections. So that really has to resonate, especially in organizations, in the workplace, with businesses. And I'm sure you help those businesses go to the next level in many ways. Talk about that.
Yeah, yeah, this is why I am so passionate about innovation, because I believe in every organization there are people with amazing ideas, and they may or may not have had the ability to share those ideas and see them come to life. My belief is that most of those don't ever see the light of day unless you're like extremely stubborn and you have the right team and all the support that you need. And so it's my goal or mission to really unlock that for people, because I've been really blessed to have worked in innovation in a field that I love, that I'm gifted in, and I want to see more people be able to do that. So I come in and I have workshops on how you can be an innovator, like really, like truly, not just lip service. Like we're talking about how do you think differently, how do
Right.
you act differently with skill sets and mindsets. So that's that one element that I bring to organizations that's unique. And then I also do this Lego stuff, which when you want to actually have different business results, then we bust out the Lego. So I train the brain and the hands, and then when you want to do things differently, we bust out the Lego, and we use that in order to think differently with our colleagues.
I think it's amazing what you do. And you have worked with people like, I think I'm going to get this right. Um, Chick-fil-A,
Mhm.
State Farm. These are big companies. These are big companies. What was that like?
Yeah, I mean, I was an innovator for both of the companies, so
Mhm.
it was an honor for me to learn from these organizations how they thought about innovation. At Chick Fil A, my role was to make innovation better, which was really quite a tall feat, but it also allowed me to see how powerful innovation as a way to our, let's say, steam bring ahead people's ideas, how to accelerate people's ideas. I never thought innovation was like a transformational journey people took, but it was for me. And in reflection, that's what I was able to do with a lot of these folks too, is to bring them on this journey with me to help unlock what was already within them. So like I was just kind of there as their coach and cheerleader to accelerate the ideas and the type of person that they were by teaching some of these concepts and things that I've learned as an innovator myself.
That's exciting. Certainly, you get a lifetime supply of chicken nuggets or chicken sandwiches.
I wish. I wish.
That's awesome. So, listen, you're working in this field as an innovator within these companies, and then you say, I want to do this for everyone. And
Mhm.
you take the leap to start your own company. Talk about that.
Yeah, it was an untraditional way into entrepreneurship. To be honest, I lived in Atlanta, Georgia at the time. I decided to move back home to Toronto, and my boss at the time was like, you know, one way to continue to work together is if you found your own business and we hire you back as a vendor, and then you know, you do work for us, but then you have to be a real business. Like you have to do real business things to get clients and all that. I was like, yeah, of course, of course. And so I was able to create my own innovation curriculum, which is something that I always wanted to do when I was at Chick-fil-A, but I didn't have the time for. So I call Chick-fil-A almost like my seed funder. You know, I was doing work with them.
Yeah.
I still keep the lights on here at home in Toronto. And on the side, I was creating this curriculum that now I teach in organizations. And so it truly it was a blessing for me. But at the time, it was a very bold move. I'll say I didn't really know what I was getting myself into, but I've had the fortune to work with a lot of different organizations and really see this innovation actually applied in all sorts of different industries with people of at all levels. And so I was able to validate what I already believed, which was that innovation belongs everywhere. But I've seen it now in my own business with the clients that I have. And Nicole, one of my favorite clients is the town of Midland. So they're a smaller municipality north of Toronto. And I worked with their wastewater operators. And we brought innovation training and creativity to wastewater operators and seeing how that could apply with their wastewater service department. And of course, it's an area that needs innovation. And so I have stories like that that I can share now that that really just are a testimony of, yeah, it is needed everywhere. We need innovation everywhere.
Actually, as you were talking, I was thinking oftentimes we see the stage of innovation as, the business executives sitting around the table, but you just really answered my next question was talking about the wastewater treatment workers. Innovation is for everyone,
Yeah.
all levels in a company and in your life. You don't have to be the CEO to have the lessons learned that you're able to share. It's everywhere, every department, every level. That has to be really good to hear for people listening that, hey, this can apply to me. I count, I matter, I'm special too within my company. I can step up to the plate and do something better and different. I don't have to be the CEO. That has to really make you feel good that you're able to go in to all levels of businesses and organizations and help people really elevate themselves and elevate the product or service.
Yeah. Yeah. No, this really dawned on me. I spoke on this topic at a nonprofit, so it was for all staff. I was a keynote speaker. This was 2023 in February, and I was working on this sort of revised keynote. It was one of my workshops. I had merged it into this keynote, and I called it at the time, "Yes, You Can Innovate," which I learned was a book, so I changed the name since I didn't know there's a book that was called that at the time. But after so I'm like, no copyright infringement. But after I spoke, I got off the stage and I had so many people line up to talk to me. Like it literally shocked me, Nicole. I didn't expect it. Like there were so many people that ended up wanting to talk to me, and I was like, as a speaker, I want to know what was impactful or was helpful. So I was asking them, and they were like, I never believed that innovation was possible for me. You know, it was always like for somebody else. It was always over there. You know, other people did it, but not me. That person, the people were like, the way you talked about it allowed me to connect myself to this entire different world. And now that I see I have been innovative and I have been doing this, and what I realized was I needed to be that bridge that connected people to this like big world of innovation that they probably already were doing. It's just that they didn't recognize themselves in that space. And you know, to be honest, that was me too. I didn't even know what innovation was until someone told me about it. But I'm like, yeah, that is me. I have been doing it. So it reflects my own story. But to be able to to be able to share innovation in a way that helps connect people is honestly, it makes me really happy. It's also what I did at Chick-fil-A because I would identify people with innovative potential. I could like smell the innovative DNA in them, and I would be like, "Hey, I have a program that you can join where I'm going to teach you how to do all of this, like how you can be more innovative." And so I became that. I didn't know this at the time, but I was that kind of bridge to them. And when I invited them into something that they were really passionate about, they're like, "Yeah, I want to learn. Like, let's hang out." And so, it's been really fun for me to be able to do that for more and more people.
I think sometimes people are just looking for that opportunity. They don't realize it's available. And like you said, when you open that door for them to realize, I do have that potential. I
Yeah.
do have something to offer. And it really does make people feel seen and heard. And I suspect when businesses and organizations and nonprofits realize when you listen to those folks that are working for you and they have these opportunities to feel like they can bring something to the table that's good and make a difference, they have a better employee because of the things that you've shared with them, and they have a better company. And I suspect that is golden when you hear that, when you're helping them.
Yeah, people are more fulfilled. They want to stay. It increases employee retention. It's higher employee satisfaction. I remember I was at a conference and another conference I always like to talk to the people that are in my workshop. So I was speaking to this woman and she was telling me she was very high up in the organization she was working for, and she was telling me, she's like, Leo, I really was thinking about leaving. So she was like next to the CEO, and she was like, I was really thinking about leaving because all the ideas that I had never were listened to. Like we never implemented them. And she was like, I was about to leave. And then the CEO and I had a conversation where he was like, I get your frustration. I get what's happening. So they had a conversation about that. And I feel like that does happen for so many people. Like you have ideas you want to see to come to life, but maybe because you don't know how to implement it or the organization isn't ready for it, all this innovation, they want to leave. And now with hybrid and remote working and all this, employees have access to a much greater pool of organizations they can work for than ever before. And so if your organization isn't supporting this, then you know what, there's going to be ones that really do support this, and the people are going to leave and go to those ones.
Yeah, and I think there are just so many people hungry to learn more, do better, want to improve themselves and that sort of thing. So it's just a perfect fit for what you do for companies and individuals. So maybe just a few bullet points for the viewers, for the audience, as to what they can start in their own lives to be innovators, to create something new. Give us some tips.
Yeah, I would say the first thing I want to say is that anything is possible. So the way you are looking at your world today, it does not have to be the same. Okay. It is the way it is for a reason, but you have the ability to change that narrative. And so I like to think about this going back to pain or opportunity is like, what's something in your life right now that you would love to reimagine? What would that look like? Right? Think about what that could be. Don't let anything stop you in terms of why it can work or why it shouldn't work or what would get in the way. But just think about what would you love to see different in your life right now? And this could be at your work or at home, and start to dream about those possibilities. That is an invitation for you to create a new future. And then to get it done, I mean, it takes some work, but like start with that. What is something that you would like to see different? Because anything is possible. I think in this day and age that we live in now with AI and generative AI, like there literally anything is possible for you to do. And the tools are out there to support you. So start dreaming about what that is, and then start to collaborate with others. If the dream is bigger than something that you can handle on your own, there's so many incredible people that you can connect with. I'm in Canada. There's tons of support for entrepreneurs and businesses. I'm sure it's the same in the US. I'm sure it's the same globally. And so there's so many support systems now that exist because we want to see ideas come to life. Governments want to see ideas come to life. We want to see jobs created. We want to see the economy thrive. So there's so many different ways that we can see that. So start with what's possible, because anything is. So I want you to think about that today.
Mm, that's good. That's good, Leo. Anything is possible. That's why I asked you to be on my show because I knew anything is possible and I'm not afraid to ask anymore. So thank you
Yeah,
so much for saying yes.
absolutely. Absolutely. I'm so happy to be here.
Listen, as we close, tell folks how they can connect with you, follow you, get informed and just had all the things of connection with Leo.
Yeah, I'm very active on LinkedIn, so my handle is at everyone can innovate. I am on Instagram, but I'm more active on LinkedIn, so you can find me on both. So find me there. I actually have 4 courses on LinkedIn Learning. So as a gift to the listeners, Nicole, if you connect with me on LinkedIn and tag me, I'll send you a course for free, and you can watch it and learn how to actually innovate. Happy to send it over to you. So find me on LinkedIn, connect with me. Happy to send you over a course.
Fantastic. And of course, your website for Abound and Innovation as well. Talk about that.
Yeah. So if you want some actual help in terms of an organization, you can go to my website, aboundinnovation.ca. And I would love to help you with either some courses in terms of training, teaching you innovation mindset and skill set, and or Lego Serious Play. And we could do both. So I'm happy to do that. Yeah,
Great.
exactly. And I speak too. So if you're looking for a speaker, happy to help in any way possible. I am very passionate about innovation. If you can't tell, so please connect with me. It's my joy to share this love with more people.
Well, anyone that gets to connect with you, hear you speak, take a class, they are going to be blessed. And it will just be a wonderful experience for them. And I can say that personally because I have had that experience with you. And it was so much fun. It was just incredible to open my mind and open my way of thinking about things and taking what you brought to the forum that day to help us be our own innovators. So thank you for that opportunity. And thank you for being my guest today.
Thanks for having me, Nicole. It's been an honor.
Absolutely. And that will do it for this edition of Conversations with Nicole. Until I see you again, I hope you have a great day.